Welcome to the Unwashed Asses, episode 96, recorded on, what is today? Friday, March 29th, 2019. I thought you had a big old plan about how your voice is going to crack and you're going to get shows recorded and get them done. And yeah, we're kind of waylaid that, and I've got a cold, and oh my lord, it's just a never-ending cycle of mucus erupting from my nose. I can snort it, I can blow it, it's not cocaine, it's terrible cold. And it's awful. If I'm not on a constant stream of Sudafed, I get so impacted it feels like somebody has injected concrete into my face, and it is terrible. But I can still function because it's just all sinusy. So good news about my allergy theory is I was wrong. I don't believe it was allergies. I think it is a cold, because it did also trickle down into my throat a little bit scratchy. I have a tiny cough, not as bad as I would have thought otherwise, but yeah, no bueno overall. So there's that. So I was doing a little bit of housekeeping yesterday. It was, I don't know, I hoard a lot of shit on my computer, like, oh, if I see a cool picture on the internet, I'll download it, save it later. I've talked about this, my private art gallery. And also, I've been trying to take pictures and progress my photography skills, or lack thereof. So yesterday, since I had reloaded the computer, put in the new solid state drive, I was going through my 50 gigs worth of data and just kind of checking things out, seeing what I had and reorganizing stuff, because my pictures folder's been it's mostly fairly organized, but there's some stuff, I used to make wallpapers for games I thought that were interesting or had cool character designs, and I don't necessarily need those stock materials any longer. They're just taking up space, and I know I could just store them in the cloud because, I have terabytes and terabytes of free storage. But I don't know. I was like, just doing the Marie Kondo. Does holding this digital picture bring you joy? No, then delete it. And so I was doing just that and going through and cleaning stuff up. And then eventually I got onto my camera roll, and it was just this time machine going back years and years and years. And it was a fun little trip down memory lane, especially seeing the boy as a baby and, backtracking the past. Because I got my first smartphone, it was a Samsung Focus, Windows Phone 7. When did that get released? 2011 or 2012, somewhere in there. Because then I got the Lumia 910 with Windows Phone 8 a year and a half later. And sorry, I'm watching the audio monitor here. I tried to configure this setup the best that I could. So I have 7-ish years of photos, and it doesn't seem like that long when I actually go through it. And then this led me to the website and cleaning it up and going through. And for those of you that somehow evaded it, I do have a website, and I've run it for over a decade now. And it was kind of a similar concept where I had a lot of erroneous and miscellaneous tags, because this was back when I was really trying to work on SEO and growing the site, and now I don't give a fuck anymore. So I'm trying to clean up all these old tags, and it involves me going through and selecting every article that has a specific tag, removing it, and then moving on. And I had dozens and dozens of these things, because I used to do things like, oh, here's a release calendar for the month. Here's all the games coming out. So not only would I have, a release calendar tag, I'd have the platforms, I'd have bigger franchises. I also used to write a lot of how-to articles for computer-related problems and game previews. the highlight for me was finding this article I had written, 2014, almost 5 years ago, when I first started playing Destiny, and what my first thoughts were. And I was only a level 14, and here's what's going on, here's what I like, and here's what I don't like. And I was not necessarily harsh, but definitely honest, and clearly had no idea how much this game was going to, or this series was going to mean to me. To the point where I'm planning on getting Destiny themed tattoos, and I have fucking ghost shells all over the living room, and I did a little spin-off podcast on it. It was just no inkling that I was going to fall in love with it as much as I did. And this is back when I was playing on the Xbox 360, and I was complaining about how everything was brown, and that was just kind of, I don't know, like, I should go back and fire up Destiny again and just see what the original zones look like, because I wasn't painting in a favorable light. But then again, I was playing on Xbox 360. It was designed around Xbox One, PS4. But it was interesting to go back, and this is when I got the realization, and I finally put to bed an issue I had been struggling with for a very, very long time. I always want this sense of legacy and purpose. How everybody struggles with the question, what is the meaning of life? And mine is just to be remembered, that my works have been important enough that they are worth being chronicled, and I won't just fade away from history as soon as I've passed away. And I realized it's not on others to chronicle that for me. It's not on others to determine my worth. It was up to me, and I've been doing it for over a decade. And this site is my own little chronicle, and it was interesting to see how I've grown and changed, because I have like a literal online fucking diary for the past 10 plus years. And I had always, when I was a kid, I always did journaling, and I've tinkered with apps since that do it, and I realized I don't need it. I do that shit now with a podcast. I used to do it with a blog, throw in some Twitter, but it all eventually makes its way back home to the site. And that's something that will, hopefully persist long after I'm dead. I don't know if there's something I can do when I'm 80 and about to kick the fucking bucket where I can throw a fuckload of money at my web host and just leave it up. Or if by that time I can, be assured that archive.org has caught up and pretty much has the bulk of my content squared away. So there's at least a little piece of me that lives on the internet for the rest of, however long the internet sticks around. I don't need to do such earth-shaking things as having, a planet named after me, or destroying said planet. Like, oh, he's the first motherfucking asshole that destroyed a planet. Of course we're going to remember him. We always remember the bad people like Hitler and Christian. No, I just need a little piece of me to live on. So I've gained that sense of immortality that everybody craves and yearns, and since the beginning of time has wanted to have. On top of it, I'm a narcissist, so I love looking at my own stuff. I have to give it about a 6-month buffer before I start to appreciate it. I hate everything that I do immediately, but like anything in the past, the further away you get from it, the rosier the glasses get. And so I go back and I look at all my content with this sense of, not necessarily pride, but it gives me the warm fuzzies looking at all my old stuff. And it makes me realize just how bad my memory is. I believe it is true that everybody has a generally bad memory. If you haven't watched it, Brian Brushwood does this amazing bit on how the memory is bullshit. And going through and looking at all this old stuff really hammered that point home, because when you're looking at a picture, so much detail comes rushing back to the surface, and you remember so much more about what was happening. Oh, I'm looking at the stats here on SoundCloud. Apparently, I've posted 100 tracks. I'm trying to remember what the other 5 are that aren't. Oh, the Eyes Up Guardian, I think. I don't know. That leads me into the next point. I have gotten some feedback that you guys kind of tune out when I start to ramble on about Destiny. I'm still not happy with where I left the other podcast, Eyes Up Guardian. So I think what I'm going to do to kind of appease both things, one, people that don't want to listen to me do 2 or 3 episodes a week about fucking Destiny, and me who just doesn't want to shut up about it. I am going to bring back the other show, and I'm going to do it as a one-off. Like, it'll show up in the same feed, but it will be labeled clearly, so you can safely ignore it if, Destiny's not your thing. But if it is, and you want to hear me prattle and, use that as an outlet, by all means. I think we'll do the same format, though, 15 minutes. I don't know if it'll be weekly, because I have a hard enough time doing this one weekly. Oh my god, I'm sorry about the sniffling and all that. But, no, so what are you guys up to? How's it going? How's it hanging? Oh man, what are you doing, monitor? Don't go to sleep. Sorry. I should probably wrap this up. I know it's not 15 minutes, but I need to go blow my nose, and I don't want to, pause and start back up, and I'm kind of out of things to talk about with this. So, movie reviews and TV show reviews and fun things. It's also the end of March, so make sure to get your last Shamrock Shakes in. Oh, and before I forget, because it's been a while, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, criticisms, complaints, critiques, or otherwise just want to talk about something, feel free to drop an email over at theunwashedasses@gmail.com. Again, that's theunwashedasses@gmail.com. And of course, this year, help the show grow. Tell a friend. Let somebody know they can get TUA wherever they get their other podcasts. It's definitely worth, 15 minutes of their time. And if you feel it was worth 15 minutes of your time, pitch in $1 or $2 over at patreon.com/zeroand09, ZEROAND09. It's definitely well appreciated. Thank you. Bye.